Hello C2. Let me remind you of what we have covered so far in this unit. In this unit we're talking about storytelling, so we have covered the conventions of telling stories and story elements. We also covered the narrative voice of the story, the stylistic devices that enrich the stories like alliteration, simile, personification, metaphor, hyperbole. And we have also talked about the importance of using a dialogue in telling a story and how it invites the reader to continue reading the story, and it makes the story such a vivid one. We also covered the rules of punctuating a dialogue and quotation marks, how to indent the quotation marks, how to start with a capital letter when a quotation mark is interrupted, what we do, and so forth. And we wrote everything in notes. Do you remember when we started taking notes? And I have even sent you some of the notes that we have done together by email. For this week, we're going to talk about what we call a flash fiction. And the flash fiction is a very short story, shorter than short stories. Do you remember last week when we talked about short stories and we also read one by Saki? And we differentiated between a novel and a short story. Let me remind you again. A novel is a story of several chapters. However, a short story is a story that you can read while you're sitting in few, maybe in some minutes or a few hours, an hour maximum. This is a short story. A short story could be something like 4 or 5 pages. And we have applied what we covered in this unit in this short story that we read last week, The Storyteller by Saki, where we met these little children. They were 3 with their aunt traveling from a city to another by train when they met the bachelor, who was at the beginning of the story annoyed by the kids because they were moving, talking, singing. He was really annoyed by them, and then he started telling them his own a story of his own there, and the kids got really interested and engaged in his story. And we also applied what we have covered in storytelling in this story of Saki, the storyteller. And we have noticed the use of stylistic devices and the importance of using the dialogue in this short story by Saki, the storyteller. We have applied everything in this short story, The Storyteller by Saki. For this week, you're going to work on the platform on a little assignment about what we call a flash fiction. And the flash fiction is even shorter than a short story. So we have the novel, a long one, a short story, which is a short story, a short one, and finally a flash fiction, which is a very, very short story. It could be even less than 300 words. And even, it could be even less than 100 words. And even some flash fictions are less than 300 words. So a flash fiction is a very short story. It could be something like 100 words or even less. And you know something, while there is no single defined word or count about the flash fictions, most people agree that it is very tricky to develop a very short story like a flash fiction with very few words, and you even have to break some of the rules that we have agreed on in this unit in order to create a very short story as short as a fiction story. But in this assignment on the platform, you will find a link, a video about how to write a flash fiction and some advice on how to make a great flash fiction story. This was done by the writer David Gaffney, who has some tips to help you on how to write a flash fiction. So for the assignment for this week, what you're supposed to do is you're going to watch the link by David Gaffney on how to write a flash fiction, and then there are 2 questions to answer. You have to summarize his advice and to identify maybe two of the tips he has given us on how to write a flash fiction. Finally, for this week, what we're going to do in class is we're going to see why people tell stories and what we can learn from these stories. So, what you can do for this week is just start working on the platform on the English assignment. You have the video and the link for you, and you have the questions, and of course the due date will be Saturday night. So good luck and do your best. Bye.